welcome to Oakland Is. I'm your host, Yasmin Michele. Our guest today is Mr. Michael Lange. Michael is an actor, producer, playwright, and songwriter. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Well, thank you. I used to have to sit in that wonderful seat at one time.
Yes, you did. You are a regular host on the Oakland Is show.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
I'm sure you're fabulous. We're celebrating you today, as you know. You're on your way jetting off to New York in a starring role in a play. So tell us about the play.
Well, the play is called The Glimmer. And, you know, glimmers are something that sun and water get together in the sunset, and you can see a little vibration there. And so the writer captured that essence of that glimmer. What was that glimmer trying to tell you as a human being? So he wrote a wonderful story.
And who is he?
He is Ed Ballou.
Okay.
Ed Ballou is a Bay Area playwright, and I've worked with him before. Played a character, premiered a character, the human isotope. So you have to know what an isotope is and then kind of humanize it.
Okay, well tell our audience for those who don't know.
Well, an isotope is a kind of a chemical that expands on an existing, so water is H2O. An isotope could make it H3O. Okay. So you kind of expand, and that's a connecting, getting people to be more than what they can be, from H2O to H3O, or whatever the case may be. And he wrote a wonderful play about that, and he loved my interpretation of his human isotope. So he invited me to New York, which I will be heading there in a few days, and to premiere a wonderful role of The Glimmer.
Okay, so tell us about the role.
Well, the role is older gentleman, so I fit that description. He's probably in his mid-50s. He's a washed-up boxer. So he hit the mat one time too many in his younger years, probably up to about age 23, 24, realized he couldn't make it. So he takes his hobby, which is electronics, and he continues to talk around the town at a young age. And somebody said, well, we'll give you a job at the radiation lab. So he becomes an electronic gadget maker. And the issue is that he gets hit with the radiation at the accelerator or at Livermore Lab or something, some fictitious laboratory. And so now he is legally blind. He's impotent as a result of the radiation, and he has no self-confidence. Okay,
so so from the sound of it, it's a lot of dynamics going on with this one character.
And that's just the one character.
That's one character. Okay, so how long will the play run?
It's just a weekend run.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's a Friday through Sunday thing.
Okay.
And so we will go into an intense rehearsal for 2 weeks, and then we'll be up with whatever it is we have at that time.
Great. So how are you feeling? What's going on? I know you're a veteran at this, but...
well, yeah, the role is challenging. I have my equivalent. I was a wrestler for 20 years. Okay. So that's my equivalent of being the boxer. Being thrown down to the mat or knocked down to the mat, I can hit the floor pretty good and roll. The other aspects, I don't have any background in electronics. I have seen other actors play people who are legally blind. So I'm going to have to learn how to look around and see, but not see. I'll see the blur. I'll see the image. I can see light and shadow. But specifics I just can't do because of radiation.
But you're rolling with it, and that's part of acting, just bringing in the different different dynamics, the different flow, and building it into one character. I never knew that you were a wrestler, so that's.
Yeah, I had over 2,000 matches in my 20+ years, and I tried out for the Olympic team. I think the year was 1972. I probably won a little bit more than half of those matches, maybe substantially more. I just don't remember. But I always learned something when I got off that mat, and I think this boxer has learned his lesson when he got off the mat.
And so in the meantime of all of that, you also produced, and did you write the play, what is The Meeting? And so I know that you've been doing a lot of acting and playwright for a long time. So tell our audience a little bit about that.
Well,
give us an overview of your history in the theater.
Yeah, the history in the theater would be my dad, he was a Shakespearean trained actor, which was, we were young kids, my brother Ted and I used to see my father on stage, not always doing Shakespeare, of course, because we're talking the early 50s. But everybody wanted to do Othello. That was an African-American actor.
Okay.
That was the pinnacle of your craft. But he did other plays, and so we saw him at the Ebony Showcase. And so he planted the seed in Ted directly and me indirectly, because I didn't pick it up until I was 40.
Okay,
years
but
old.
those seeds have been planted, as you said, that your father was an actor. And of course, your mother, Jerry Lange, is a pioneer in media here in the Bay Area and abroad. And of course, your brother, Ted Lange, and that was what?
20 years ago. 25.
A starring role in what, The Love Boat? Was
Love
that
Boat,
what, 70s or 80s or so,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
70s
you
and
have
80s.
a family history
Sure.
of planting seeds in the theater and in the artistic world.
Yeah, but I was the educator in the family, so a lot of the roles that I eventually took on were roles of people who actually lived. So I played Malcolm X. I'm still playing Malcolm X in the meeting where he meets with Martin Luther King.
And where is that playing now? Where do you make
It's different. It plays all across the country.
different venues all over?
We just got back from Chicago about 2 weeks ago and had a wonderful performance there. Got a wonderful standing ovation. I think people are kind of coming into view what Malcolm stood for and what Martin stood for, and these voices are missing now.
And what do you mean coming into view now? Saying that they were such
They had the insight and the
huge
foresight.
figures, and so it seems ironic that you said that they're, so I guess you're saying again coming into being, saying that they were so huge figures, and so it's amazing, and how we lost that as a people, as black folks, but as part of American history.
Yeah, well, for example, the world is in revolution right now.
Okay.
We've seen Tunisia, we've seen Egypt, we've seen Iraq, we see Yemen, we see all of the Syria. Here in this country, the 99 versus the 1%ers. There's something wrong with the country right now. And if we look at the African American experience, the struggles that we grew up coming through, and the Malcolm and the Martins, you know, Malcolm would say it's the ballot or it's the bullet. Well, that's what's happening now. People are dealing with the issues of their resources, their financial resources, and they say, I can't take it anymore. Well, we couldn't take it for 350 years. And so some of the things that Martin said and Malcolm said are so powerful today.
As in the chickens are coming home to roost.
Chickens coming home
for
to
one,
roost.
right.
Yeah, which was an issue around, you know, about the violence, you know, and we are being visited with violence now. We're losing our family structure. The social fabric is tattered. The high school dropouts, there are more people in prison now than there are in colleges as it relates to African American, particularly males, but even African American women are going into the penitentiaries.
Right, at alarming rate.
Yes.
At an alarming rate. So let's pick up on when you just talked about like the violence and just the present day, what's happening in the world, and specifically in America right now. But as again, you see it all over the world, that people are rising up and, as they say, just tired and can't take no more. You know. So do you see? With what's happening and any things that's happening that's coming out of it in the theater, you know, is that spilling over into the artistic world? And if so, can you speak on it a little bit?
Well, they call it...
Because that would be ideal.
Yeah, art imitates life.
There you go.
And life imitates art. And so the line is kind of blurry right now in terms of what is really happening. Am I in reality or I am in the theater? So a good playwright can push these two themes together before an audience that could be any nationality, any age. You know, it could be you know, African American, white people, Jewish people, Catholic. You know, and they can see, and it can
young,
change.
elders.
Yeah, change the
gender,
intention.
non-gender Pacific.
Yeah, change the intention of your heart. You see their dilemma, and you. Vicariously, you are playing the role of one of the characters on the stage. And so that's where change happens. And so what we put into our head, what our mental diet is, what we read, where we go, what we talk about, that becomes who we are. And right now, there are a lot of people who are frustrated and they want to hurt another human being. Well, we know that that's not the right thing to do. So they have to come up with laws. They have to come up with police. They have to come up with a military. And so we're seeing all of these flaws in the human character right now.
And speaking of that, so lately, as you know, that this was the shooting in Florida of the young
Trayvon, yes.
Trayvon, of the young 17-year-old man, young man, and this whole idea of protecting yourself and the violence and that sort of thing. And there was a statement, so it's been said that Geraldo Rivera said that perhaps he shouldn't have had a hoodie on. And so as a result, some NBA teams, many churches, and are coming out now, you know, and they had what they call like this a million hoodie march.
Okay.
So speaking to that, that is an expression in itself. And do you see, again, it being played out on the streets? Even when you talked about being a playwright, do you see our young people, as you were in Chicago or looking at here in the Bay Area, do you see our young people just doing street theater as it's connected to what's happening on a daily basis in real life?
Well, I'll say this. I just got back from Chicago, and you wonder how, you know, how young people here wear their pants, you know, below their butt.
The sag.
Yeah. And that's happening in Chicago.
Yeah, all over.
So you think it's not a regional thing, it's a national thing. Feeling included into the social scene is part of the issue. That is what a young person dreams about becoming. Raising a family, going on a vacation, having a quality life. Those are not the thoughts that are visiting with our young people. They don't even see themselves becoming parents or grandparents. They don't see themselves living past 25 years of age. So we have a new paradigm in the black community in particular.
And so why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well,
A sense
part
of
of it
despair? What do you think?
It's the long-standing issue that you were the only people in the world history who were brought to a particular country, and you were brought in chains. So taking those chains off, they had to pass laws, making you a, quote, human being, more than a 3/5 of a person, a citizen. That took more legislation. So it takes years, sometimes hundreds of years. We're looking now at 150 years out of this bad issue, and it's still, you can't legislate the heart. You can legislate the country. You can say you cannot discriminate, but you have to change the intention of the heart. And that's why theater is so important. That's what the theater is doing. It's changing your perspective of who you are. So, you know, some of my best friends are, some of my situations, you know, we have enough examples of each, but look at what's happening to the African-American male, particularly between the ages of, say, 13 and 25 years old. If the object of the country is to get a jacket on them, somehow get them connected to the juvenile justice system or into the penal institutions, for whatever reason, walking while black, you could just be standing out in a neighborhood and you got your hoodie on, and you have a right to wear that. You have a right to dress the way you want. You have freedom of speech. But you look suspicious, and this is what happened with Trayvon. He was living his quality life, and he apparently represented a present danger to somebody else.
Okay, and so with that, on Channel 7, they actually did a piece. I can't think of the caster's name, but I believe last name is Pierre. On Channel 7, they actually did a piece where they went out and interviewed black mothers and fathers and talked about the dialogue that happens on a daily basis with their black male children, you know, about protecting themselves and how to act in public for fear that they won't come home or they'll be gunned down.
Yeah.
So with that, what do you see that we as a community can do, or what we're not doing as it pertains to our young people in being able to play these things out in theater?
We need an Occupy Oakland type incident, something that brings us as a African American community together and informs us that we need to reach out to our young people. Apparently my generation didn't do all that it could have done to reach the generation just behind me. Now I'm kind of like the grandfather of the 17 or 20-year-old child. So what can I do to extend my heartfelt love and community to them? And they see a separation. We're now more material than we are family. You know, they say blood is thicker than water, but oil, which is the bling bling, is thicker than both. So people go out and they hurt their own relatives. They'll do a drive-by and not even care about the emotional impact of taking someone else's life, in particular a young child's life. You know, it's about the material thing. So there's something wrong with the paradigm. And so we have to kind of get outside of it and take a look and say, what is happening to our community? Because that's not a human thing to do. And it goes back to the distribution of the resources. You know, you have people who are multi-millionaires, billionaires, and then you have people that are poor, that are living on the street. How can that be in the same country? You could kind of even it out and make the quality of life of a homeless person, or a person who is one check away from being homeless, with a person who will never be able to spend all the money they have. So it has to do with I am my brother's keeper. Some of the biblical metaphors that are there, we're living through those times.
Okay, so when you're saying that in this big split of, I guess, the have and the have-nots, and
Yes.
as we know, with the current situation, the current American economic situation, which is really a worldwide economic crisis,
Yes.
and we're still in that crisis, and we as a people know that it's a continuing crisis for us. So with the elimination almost of the middle class, we know that oftentimes, I know that when I was in school, and I'm sure when you were in school, as you talked about the importance of artistry. And so now, with the schools, you don't see a lot of performance and or music.
Yeah.
And so can touch on that a little bit about the importance of
Well, the greatest journey that
artistry.
Yeah, the greatest journey that anybody can take is to find their life's calling.
There you go.
And so part of the deal we made is that we have a limited amount of time that we live on the earth. And if a career or a hobby or something that I'm born with piques my interest, I need to continue to follow that. And that will guide me. You know, you just, my brother says, I'm going to be an actor. Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm going to be on Broadway. Yeah, right. And I'm going to make $1 million. Well, he did all of those things. He became an actor. He got on Broadway. He made $1 million. And even after the end of all of that, he's still striving. He's still looking for that one role that will stretch his character. Doesn't matter what the money is. Doesn't matter where he performs it. I want those words. That's my life's calling, my life's work. So can you imagine a nation of people finding their calling, but the journey is, the issues are, the challenges happen to be finding it. So there are people my age who don't know what they want to do with their life. There are people younger who happen to know what they want to do with their life. But life enters with its little wrinkles, its little obstacles along the way. Hey, you want to go smoke this? Come on, let's go over here. Hey, you want to go and sit in my car and we're going to go take a joyride? And then you wind up getting in trouble for something else that has absolutely nothing to do with your calling.
Right, and so and part of that is having the access to your life's calling, or being able to discern what your life calling is. And so there you have to have, I would think that you would have to have many exposures
the more exposure,
to touch on what what that maybe what
Yeah.
that life calling is.
A young kid was helping me prepare for this role in New York. He was 13 years old. He read that script the first time he ever read a script, and he was fascinated.
Wow.
So he's checking on me being able to give my lines, but he has to be the other character. This experience was life transforming at the moment. Now that was a week ago. This kid has been asking for that script, so I finally got to the person to send him the script. He's sponge. He wants to take this up. He may have an interest, but at least his curiosity has been piqued in this. And it had absolutely, he had no idea he was visiting his aunt. And I happened to be over at the house.
Okay, so in talking about access, and we're saying even social and or economic access, as you will be starring in this role in this play, and can you touch a little bit on the economics of producing a play, whether on Broadway, off Broadway, and in your local, in the local
well, you got to
community?
have, they call them angels. These are the people who are the executive producers. They produce the money. Then you have the next click down, the producers. They produce what is needed. We need a set, they can produce it. You need a costume, they got it. You need a prop, they're the money people who buy things from the executive producers. Then you have associate producers and assistants and so forth. So everybody has a role, but a production like the one we're going into, it doesn't require, you can do it in a studio like here. You just put up, you rent a theater out, this might cost us $800 a day. Get a couple of techies, the light and the sound people, minimum 4 hours of rehearsal, that goes on. You get the costuming, and then you get the marketing. The marketing sometimes is more expensive than the production itself. So you have to measure how many seats are in this house. Let's say it's a 500-seat house. In New York, they're spending $60 to $150 for a ticket. So you can multiply that, and then you can do the math and say, okay, we can do 5 weekends, we can do 6 weekends. We're just doing 1 weekend. And they got to fly us out there. They got to put us up in a hotel. They got to pay us for rehearsals, pay us for the performance, and pay us a per diem.
Per diem.
So, it's basically 3 characters with a director, a stage manager, some techies, a theater, and 2 or 3 weeks of time. So that's all the pieces to it.
Wow. There are many pieces to what you've been doing, and obviously what you'll be doing in the future. Our Oakland is producer, Jimmy Guy, has said that this is your role that's going to shoot you to stardom.
Oh, he has predicted that.
Yes, that's his prediction.
Yeah, well, let me just share this with you, that the people who are finding their calling in life, they're probably fully and totally unaware that something larger is moving them. So I have no clue. I'm going to do my job. I got to go, I'm a professor, so I got to let the students know. I got to do this. I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but I might wind up having said to my family, I made it there.
Right, and then we're your family too, so don't forget us here and come back and take us with you,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You can
So
be
with
my
that, we have about maybe 2 or 3 minutes left. So how can we maybe put, as you were saying, it really doesn't take much, and do you see anything, or are you involved in any situations where we just taking our young people off the street and saying, hey, let's do some street theater, or we just take them to a spot and just, read a play or something like that, as we know, with the Harlem Renaissance and this and that.
Sure.
So many of those folks started with a little of nothing.
Yeah, I imagine that some of that must be going on. We live in a huge country. And there are lots of street corners, and there are lots of potential theaters. You could just throw this back and say, here's our theater right here. You could be in the lobby of somebody's hotel. I am working with a young kid. I'm a tutor to him. He's from China. He's learning English. He's in the 3rd grade. I do that 5 days a week, and I've been doing it for the last 2 years. So that's my contribution to theater. It's not a performance of any type, and hopeful that his performance in school will continue to allow him to graduate from elementary school and move on into his senior high school, and then into college. So that's how I'm doing my theater work. It's I feel good doing it. I've been doing it, and I can't stop doing that with him to go start a theater club.
Right.
There just isn't enough hours in the days to do it. But that's a wonderful, wonderful idea. And I do know that the Parks and Recreation, they have a lot of little small stages in their recreation centers. It could happen there. Maybe that's a solution is to find some individual who has some background in theater, and we would be willing to take age-specific plays for young people and let them, you know, show their craft.
Yeah, and even like I would think like even in the community centers, you know,
Yes,
that
yes.
it can happen, or in somebody's home.
Sure, a nonprofit,
seems
YMCA,
like,
YWCA, American Red Cross.
yeah, didn't Jada and Will, they just produced the play that was here in Oakland.
Yeah,
Where it was in San Francisco, Fela.
Yeah, Fela,
Yeah,
yes,
did you-
yes. No, I missed that, and boy, I heard it was
so
great.
it's really
But
good
that's
to
a
see
good
that some of our
example.
celebrities
Yeah. So the
that's
template-
financially
yeah,
able are picking up on that.
Yeah, the template is out there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So you will be leaving soon, and we'll look to follow up with you when you get back. And as they say, break a leg. And we look forward to it. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, breaking a leg means that's when you get to the end of the performance and you bow and you put one leg behind the other one and you break
There
the
you
leg.
go. There
And
you
that's
go.
the history of that marvelous term.
That does it for this segment of Oakland Is. I'm your host, Yasmin Michele. We'll see you next time. Peace and best wishes.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Guy, creator and producer of that hit TV talk show, Oakland Is. For the past 20 years, we know you've been watching us by the calls that we get and the letters and friendly things that happen to us in the street when you meet our hosts of the various shows we produced. So we want you to keep watching KMTP, Channel 32, every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. We're glad to have you there. Thank you very much. Have a great day.